I told him to get his hand off me.
You told him to get his ID, sir, and his driver's license.
Hundreds protest outside the governor's mansion, and outrage over that other deadly shooting in Louisiana sparks rallies from coast to coast.
Hillary Clinton slamming Donald Trump, attacking him right outside his now closed casino. As the FBI director heads to Capitol Hill to testify about Clinton's emails, Trump calling Clinton incompetent as he hits the trail with possible running mate Newt Gingrich.
Bombshell lawsuit. The popular TV host and former Miss America now suing one of the most powerful men in media after losing her job. She accuses Fox News CEO Roger Ailes of sexual harassment. Both sides speaking out this morning about the lawsuit.
We certainly are. Sister Act, all eyes on Serena and Venus Williams as the two take center court at Wimbledon semifinals. The stars and Duchess Kate set to watch. Are we heading for yet another sister showdown?
Live in Times Square, this is Good Morning America.
And Good Morning America, big day at Wimbledon, hot day here.
It's a hot day here. You're right about that, George. Huge heat wave is hitting the East Coast, and millions are facing heat alerts right now. And you're looking live at the thermometer here in Times Square, and see, it's already about 90 degrees. And Ginger's going to be tracking all of that just ahead for us today.
But we're going to begin, of course, with that deadly breaking news, a deadly shooting in Minnesota overnight involving a police officer, sparking outrage across the country. And rallies are growing over that deadly incident in Louisiana, spreading from Los Angeles to Philadelphia. ABC senior justice correspondent Pierre Thomas has all the details for us. He's in Washington. Good morning, Pierre.
Good morning, Robin. Another fatal police shooting, a traffic stop turned deadly, caught on tape, igniting anger and concern about police use of force.
A new video emerging this morning of another police shooting last night in Minnesota.
We're waiting for a back. I will, sir. No worries. I will.
Viewed more than 1 million times before being taken down on Facebook. The video shows a traffic stop turned deadly. 32-year-old Philando Castile, along with his girlfriend and her child, pulled over last night, the beginning of the incident not on tape. But Castile was shot, his arm bloodied. The woman in shock, but continuing to live stream the situation on Facebook. In the video, she says that Castile had a license to carry a firearm. She says she warned the officer that he would be reaching to his pocket to get his ID. The officer appears agitated.
Told him to get his hand off me.
You told him to get his ID, sir, and his driver's license.
She says the officer fired, reportedly 4 times. Castile, transported to the hospital, later dies from his injuries. Outraged family members and residents heading to the local hospital to protest, as hundreds gather at the governor's mansion overnight demanding answers.
No justice, no peace.
This as protests in Baton Rouge continue overnight as a second video is released showing another angle of the deadly shooting of 37-year-old Alton Sterling. This new video showing one officer pinning Sterling to the ground, while another officer kneels on his arm outside a Baton Rouge convenience store. You can see one officer drawing his gun, and moments later, shots fired. An officer then removes something from Sterling's pocket, Sterling dying at the scene. Sterling's family wants answers.
I want justice for Al. That's what I want. I want justice for him.
The Justice Department and the FBI called in to investigate the Baton Rouge case. The same request likely coming for Minnesota. So many not willing to take the word of police anymore.
And speaking of the case in Minnesota, the woman remained very calm. She referred to the officer as sir. But is it dangerous for people to record these events, even though it's very important information that we get? But is it dangerous for them to record it as the event is happening?
Every situation is different. People have to be careful not to do anything that would make police think that they're a threat. But Robin, that cat's out of the bag. These days, when people see anything, their reflex action is to pull out the cell phone and to start recording.
Yes, we're seeing that more and more. All right, Pierre, thank you.
What they document, just shocking.
Yeah.
We're going to move on now to that dangerous heat spreading across the country. 15 states from New Mexico to New York under heat warnings right now. as the Northeast gets hit hard with the hardest heat wave of the summer. Ginger outside with all the details. Good morning, Ginger.
Hey, good morning, George. And yes, our thermometer reading 90. The official in Central Park, 81. It feels like the mid to upper 80s for sure. And I've got 3 gallons of water here to showcase that a healthy person that is in the Northeast that hasn't seen this type of heat can lose this much water on a hot day like this. So important that you drink to hydrate yourself throughout today. Let me take you, because it's not just New York City. It is Philadelphia in an excessive heat warning. It's parts of Louisiana, back to New Mexico in heat advisories. Why are those warnings up? Because it's not just the numbers, it's what this heat index shows you. It's what it feels like. Philadelphia close to 100, Washington, D.C., same thing. Baltimore, the same deal. And we stick with this tomorrow, too. If we have 3 days in a row, Robin, of officially 90 degrees or more, it's a heat wave, and I believe we're going to do it. Robin? All right, Ginger, as you said, we want everybody to stay safe and stay hydrated. To the race for the White House now. Hillary Clinton going after Donald Trump in front of one of his closed Atlantic City casinos, as Attorney General Loretta Lynch says there will be no criminal charges in the Clinton email investigation. ABC's Cecilia Vega is here with more on all that. Good morning, Cecilia.
Robin, good morning to you. A year-long investigation into those emails that threatened her bid for the White House is finally over, and now Hillary Clinton wants nothing more than to change the subject.
This morning, the investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails is officially closed. Attorney General Loretta Lynch accepting the FBI's recommendation to not charge Clinton and her aides over that private server. But the political fallout not ending anytime soon. Donald Trump overnight still hitting hard.
Hillary Clinton, I said, bad judgment. She's incompetent, okay? She's incompetent. The only good thing she's ever done is get out of trouble when anybody else would have been in jail by now.
And that's not all. House Speaker Paul Ryan says Clinton should no longer have access to classified intelligence.
There are a lot of questions that have to be answered.
And today, FBI Director James Comey heads to Capitol Hill to testify about that email probe. Clinton's campaign calling the grilling yet another taxpayer-funded sham of an inquiry to try to hurt Hillary Clinton politically. Clinton now trying to get back to business on the campaign trail, taunting Donald Trump on his own turf.
What he did for his businesses and his workers is nothing to brag about. In fact, it's shameful.
Showing up in Atlantic City right outside his shuttered Trump Plaza casino.
He got rich and got out, and he thinks that's something to be proud of.
Trump firing right back.
Hillary with the teleprompters every single time. Donald Trump is a bad person. He hurt the little people. He didn't. Made a lot of money.
And this morning, a big endorsement is in the works for Hillary Clinton. Bernie Sanders is now in talks with Clinton's campaign about when and where. George, it could come as soon as next week.
Yep, she adopted his college tuition plan. Okay, Cecilia, thanks. Now to Donald Trump. In that fiery speech last night, we saw him take on Clinton as he also defended that tweet causing him trouble as he campaigned in the key state of Ohio with VP shortlister Newt Gingrich. ABC's David Wright is on the trail with Trump in Cincinnati. Good morning, David.
Good morning, George. They call this state the cradle of presidents. Ohio, a critical battleground come November. That's one big reason why the Republicans scheduled their national convention this summer for Cleveland. But Ohio's also one state Donald Trump did not win in the primaries.
I love Ohio. You know, I worked in Ohio for a long time.
Trying to win over the Buckeye State, Donald Trump trotted out one possible running mate, former House Speaker Newt Gingrich, who'd have no trouble being an attack dog.
Is there a single person here who believes that if you had done what Hillary Clinton had done, that you would not be prosecuted?
Trump says he has 10 names on his short list, minus 2, it would seem. Senator Bob Corker now says the job is not for him. And Senator Joni Ernst, who caused such a stir with this campaign ad,
I grew up castrating hogs on an Iowa farm.
She told Politico she has more work to do in the Senate, saying it's unlikely she'll join the ticket. Trump is defiant, defending that controversial tweet showing Hillary Clinton next to what many say was a Star of David on top of a pile of campaign cash. Trump says it was a mistake to delete the image.
I would have rather defended it. Just leave it up and say, no, that's not a Star of David. That's just a star. I have a son-in-law who's Jewish, Jared, who's a great guy. My daughter is Jewish. I have grandchildren that are Jewish, okay? And I love them. I love them.
Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, the grandson of Holocaust survivors, was put in the awkward position of defending the billionaire, insisting, "My father-in-law is not an anti-Semite." He says the Donald Trump he knows is instinctively pro-Jewish and pro-Israel, adding, "The worst thing his detractors can fairly say about him is that he has been careless in retweeting imagery that can be interpreted as offensive."
Today, Trump heads to Washington, D.C., where he'll be meeting with Republican lawmakers, some of them critical of him for not taking full advantage of Hillary Clinton's email troubles. Instead, he veered so far off message that at one point he even heaped praise on Saddam Hussein. George?
Okay, David Wright, thanks very much. Let's talk about this now with Matt Dowd, our political analyst. And Matt, you see both candidates trying to get beyond their troubles. Hillary Clinton trying to get beyond the emails, but she's got the Republican Party to face up to in Congress today with that hearing for the FBI director. And Donald Trump just can't let this tweet go.
No, he absolutely can't let this go. I think that this is the dynamic of the campaign, George. It is Donald Trump. Is he a successful businessman? And does he retain that through the course of this campaign? His vulnerability. And Hillary Clinton, can she be trusted in the course of this? And I think that is the battle that we're going to see over the next 130 days on both those realms, or each of them.
Meantime, let's look at that VP hunt for Donald Trump right now. Two names coming off the list: Bob Corker, Joni Ernst coming off the list. Newt Gingrich has his tryout last night. And this is the next critical big move for Trump, and he needs to do it pretty soon.
Yeah, it's the biggest move he has left that he totally controls in the course of this. And as you know, it's one of the moves that can actually impact the race and change the poll numbers. I think he's going to be able to find somebody. If you think about this race, he's got a better chance than Bob Dole did in 1996 of winning the presidency, and he's got a better chance of Walter Mondale did in 1984 winning the presidency. Both of them were able to find VP nominees in the course of this. He will settle on somebody, but it is a case of musical chairs.
Okay, Matt Dowd, thanks very much.
All right, George, now to the tragic death of a young Navy SEAL ruled a homicide. 21-year-old James Lovelace died during a training exercise at a pool. The death now raising questions about whether some training is too extreme. ABC's Martha Raddatz has more and joins us from Washington. Good morning, Martha.
Good morning, Robin. The San Diego Medical Examiner is now saying that the actions and inactions of the instructors and other individuals involved were excessive and directly contributed to the death of the young trainee.
This morning, stunning new details in the drowning death of Navy SEAL trainee James Derek Lovelace. The 21-year-old died in his first week of elite Navy SEAL training. It is the most rigorous training in the U.S. military. But this time, according to the San Diego Medical Examiner, the training went too far. It is now being labeled a homicide. According to the Medical Examiner report, surveillance video from the combat swimming exercise shows Lovelace struggling in the water. Witnesses say his face was purple, his lips blue. The report says an instructor in the water approaches him and, against regulations, dunks Lovelace, not once, but at least twice. At one point, someone else in the water pulls Lovelace up, away from the instructor, who eventually pulls him out, still breathing, but moments later, he's unresponsive.
If you kill somebody in training, you're doing the enemy's job for them.
According to the Navy SEAL Foundation, between 2013 and 2015, 8 SEALs lost their lives in training. That's more than the number of SEALs who died from combat or service-related wounds during that same period.
And despite labeling this a homicide, which in this case means death at the hands of another, the Navy says it is not inherently a crime, but we are told charges are possible and that the instructor has been put on administrative duty during this active and open investigation. Robin?
Investigation continues, Martha. Thank you. Now to Amy with today's other top stories, starting with new concerns about the Zika virus.
That's right. Authorities are now reporting a jump in the number of cases of Zika virus, up to 50 pregnant women per day are becoming infected in Puerto Rico alone. The CDC is urging officials on the island to begin aerial spraying to kill mosquitoes. Meanwhile, health officials in Florida have confirmed 11 new travel-related Zika infections in that state yesterday alone. Well, an urgent manhunt is underway in San Diego for the man responsible for a series of vicious attacks on homeless men in the street. 2 were killed, 2 others are in critical condition. Police have released surveillance video of the suspect. They say his motive is unclear. Well, a former executive at a Wall Street investment bank admits he defrauded investors out of more than $38 million to fund his gambling addiction. Prosecutors say Andrew Casperson tried to raise nearly $150 million, even cheating his own family and friends. He could face now more than a decade in prison. Well, a major scare in the sky for an experienced hang glider. A camera was rolling as his glider snapped into, look at that, over Norway. The crowd below watched in horror as he plunged to the ground. Despite this malfunction, he managed to pull his emergency chute and eventually landed in a lake where he was rescued by boaters. Remarkably, he suffered just minor injuries. And finally, there's nothing like going home, even when you're a superstar athlete. Especially when you're a superstar athlete. How about that? Dwayne Wade leaving the Miami Heat after 13 years to play for his hometown Chicago Bulls. In a letter to fans, Wade said when he was growing up near Chicago, he never dreamed that one day he would wear a Bulls jersey. Well, now he will. No place like home.
Good for him.
A lot of moving around.
Yeah, kind of following his old teammate LeBron James. Went back home to Cleveland.
It worked for James.
Back home to Chicago. It worked for him. Yeah. And something that's working for all of us is that excitement at Wimbledon. Serena and Venus Williams are playing today in the semifinals. And if they both win, it will be a real sister act. And Lara is on the scene in England covering every shot this morning. Good morning, Lara.
Good morning to you, Michael, from Wimbledon. It is a beautiful day here at the All England Lawn and Tennis Club. You can tell I'm having my voice down. That's all part of the etiquette, which is very hard for me because I want to jump over this fence right onto that grass court. Alas, though, it is all about those Williams sisters as the semifinals are underway. Just up, almost up, Serena. Then Venus will play Angelique Kerber, both looking for that shot in the finals. It's been 7 years since the most successful sisters in American sports history have both made it this far at the All England Club. But in this tournament, the two have taken very different paths to get here. Serena on a rougher, more slippery road.
Serena slips.
In the first week of play, Serena fined $10,000 for slamming her racket.
Right into the camera.
But the 6-time Wimbledon winner has been all business ever since.
She's in the zone. She's in the zone.
If Serena can serve up a win here, she'll have 22 Grand Slam wins under her belt, tied with Steffi Graf for the most singles victories of all time. Meanwhile, big sis Venus is the talk of the tournament, the oldest player in the women's draw. At 36, she has beaten 2 players nearly half her age. It hasn't been easy, though. In 2011, Venus was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease that causes fatigue. Many wrote her off, but she has defied the doubters and now is back on center court for her 9th Wimbledon semifinal.
She's a real fighter. And like I said, like I always say, it's a super inspiring for me. We try to, I guess, find that balance of supporting each other but not brainwashing each other.
And in case you missed it on the men's side, unfortunately, American Sam Querrey's magic run is over. However, Andy Murray and Roger Federer both squeaked it out to make it into the semifinals. It wasn't easy for either of them. Coming up, we're going to talk to Patrick McEnroe about that and, of course, the Williams sisters. For now, though, back to you, Michael, in the studio.
All right. She's so happy there. She is at home right now. We're happy she's going to be there. She's going to cover more from Wimbledon in our next hour. We're going to get a chance to see that. And if you're Dwayne Wade, maybe you can escape the heat, but none of us can escape the heat.
That's correct.
Nice.
That was really good.
That was so good.
I'm learning.
Wow. The heat here and the severe storms, we got to get straight to it. I want to take you to the radar because this is what's happening at this hour. Severe thunderstorm watch now includes St. Louis this morning, so damaging wind will plow through, flash flooding just north of Nashville. Here's what you have to look forward to today. All right, your local weather, 30 seconds, but first, the stormy cities brought to you by Mazda.
36 hours ago, you were Jeff and Susan. Now, you're Mom and Dad. But you've got this. You read the baby manuals, you baby-proofed the house, bought yourself a safe SUV, You're totally ready for this. Right? The Mazda CX-5.
Another day where the weather is going to have a moderate impact on our area. More oppressive heat as that heat index tops out at 99 to 102 during the afternoon hours. Tomorrow, the weather is going to have a high impact on this area. Not only are we going to be dealing with high heat and humidity, but some strong afternoon thunderstorms that will come through. Those storms could produce a lot of rain in a short period of time. Less humid conditions for your Saturday, the high 93.